Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Rise Every Nation. It's your host, Terrell Simmons, in the building. I got a special guest in the building. He got his Obama blue on. He ready to mean business today. Mr. Maurice, always ready. Williams, how are you doing today, sir?
Mr. Terrell, I am blessed, and so happy to be here. This is an honor and a privilege on behalf of Always Ready. We just thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule in order to talk to us.
Oh no, it's the other way around, brother. So we probably gonna be giving each other accolades all through the show, y'all. So just to let y'all know. So for those who probably on Instagram and other social media platforms, that wonderful award that Rise Urban Nation got towards the was it in the last year?
No, it was beginning of this year,
Beginning
February
of this
11th.
year.
Yes, sir.
uh at the wonderful gala, which I was honored and privileged to come and say a few words of wisdom and get surprised with this honorary award, was from my brother here, Maurice. And I've been knowing him for some time. Let's take people down memory lane. How did we first meet? Tell the people how we first met.
And it's such an honor to talk about this. We met at the Career Center off of
Uh,
University when you were working with the youth that connect to careers, and I was working
yeah,
with Miss Deanna Dorsey with KRA, and I was the
man,
business. I think was I career agent? Yeah, career agent, and then they recruited me to become a business services rep.
man, and you was handling
Yeah.
your business, yes, indeed. And for those who don't know Miss D is a national treasure here, along with Maurice, out here in San Diego. If you ever get to know her, tell her I said hello and give a warm welcome and hug from me and Maurice.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember meeting you, man, and you was always about your business. I didn't know it at the time, but they used to call, the office upstairs at the time, the Ivory Tower. I was like, "Oh, you in the Ivory Tower?" I was like, "What do you mean? You in the penthouse suite?"
Using the VIP suite.
You
And
was in
nothing
the
changed. You
VIP
still
suite.
VIP to
We
me, baby.
and I kept coming down to visit y'all down there because I was like, "Yo, I need to get out of the community. Like, y'all look like y'all in the community. Where I need to go? I need to get these people these jobs."
Yeah, exactly. And you did it and you continue to do it as your personality and your spirit radiates. It's very uh commending. It commends who you are. So when you initially came down and I said, "Who's this guy right here? He's just smiling and he got the cool glasses on," and they told me who you were. And that's when, you reminded me during our gala, and that, was and still is an esteemed honor of ours, because for our first, Love for the Community Gala and Terrence L. Lee Scholarship launch, you were the first speaker. So you
Man,
are not only a trailblazer, but you are also uh, a vanguard that started it. So now
man.
we can't go down. We have to either maintain or keep on going steady. So it's
Look,
not the
there's no
last time
way
you're
to
gonna
go but
speak.
up, and I know you're gonna keep going up.
That's right. That's right. And so, our relationship budded, I believe, instantly, because
Mhm,
as we mentioned before, Miss Deanna, you being a trusted source and she having that type of relationship with you, my whole thing is about building relationships ever since that day. And if you didn't know, I got that from you. About,
mhm,
when I talk to these employers, when we talk to these young men and oftentimes young ladies or whomever it is that will allow us to speak,
mhm,
it is about relationship. And once you build on that
mhm,
relationship, anything else can happen. And one thing I do recall that wasn't mentioned and is super cool is I was dropping, if you remember, I was dropping my daughters off at my
mhm.
old place of worship, my old church. And the
Yeah.
pastor was like, "Oh, are you gonna help Sorrel?" And I was like, "No." I said, I got some other stuff to do. And I did have some things, but I had my Always Ready shirt on. And you
Uh-huh.
said, so I told my pastor no. He was like, "Oh, okay." But you said, "Hey man, you gonna hang out a little bit to help me?" And I went, "Yeah, because it's you." Because I was insane. Right. When you did that whole thing about resumes and jobs, and Yeah, for what, about 50 of our youth from the church. Because
Right,
it was you, I said, okay. And so my pastor
right.
came back and he said, "You didn't know about this." My pastor came back and said, "I thought you said no." I said, "I did." But when I found out it was Terrell and Terrell asked me, that's different. "Well, I'm your pastor." "You are." He said, "I'm your pastor." I said, "You are. You're my pastor for my, spiritual upbringing." I said, "But that's my friend. And if he needs something, I'm there. If he was to be
Right.
painting the church, I'm gonna paint the church with him. Because you're not gonna put your energy into something that's not gonna be viable."
I
Yeah.
appreciate you, brother.
Oh yeah. You always
That's
can
love
glean
right
from
there.
something like that.
Right. And this is the reason why I had to have you on, because I mean, I know we've both been pursuing our dreams in this of trying to help find ways to
Yeah.
uplift and build the community. And I'm glad to finally see you put this thing in action. Tell the people about Always Ready. What first,
Man,
tell them how this vision came to you, the name, how it was formed, and how this baby came to be what it is today.
wow. How much time do I got? I'm like-
You got plenty of time.
okay. So basically I was stationed in Virginia. I'd never been stationed East Coast, nothing. I'm a West Coast sailor.
Right.
And so I got stationed in Virginia, made chief, but in all that, every time we would PT or physical training, working out, the preamble would be, "Are you ready?" 15 jumping jacks, "Are you ready?" Being from the
Mhm,
West Coast, they may have changed it now, but at that time, being from the West Coast, they would say 15 jumping jacks, "Are you ready?" Ready, begin.
mhm,
The
mhm.
response, right, up there in the East Coast was always ready. Always ready? And I was
Mm.
like, what kind of tomfoolery is this? But like I mentioned, when I got stationed up there, I found out I had made chief. I wasn't up there even a week. And I was like, yo, this is great. I can go back to the West Coast. No. So what I learned was there was the preamble and then there was the response. You get what I'm saying? There is a
Yeah.
need and then there's a response. And so I retired from the military 2013. Didn't think nothing about always ready, nothing, nothing, nothing. Just doing me. But I started working in the social services field because I wanted to be a great HR person like Mr. Terrell here and
Mhm.
other things that he does. Uh, and so to fast track it, I started thinking about Always Ready 2015.
Oh, wow.
2016, it became like a permanent thought every day. Always ready. I would look up things and I would constantly see it. See, and it's now become part of my vocabulary because I
Mm.
initially was about to say always, always, always.
Mhm,
That's in my, it's in me, my spirit. So
mhm,
here it is. I'm at church and I'm thinking about it. Met up with our co-founder, Mr. Terrence L. Lee, and I
mhm.
started sharing the information with him. I recall sharing it with you guys in a little bit. I said, I'm thinking about a nonprofit. This is why I'm thinking about this based on what I went through. Come to find out, Terrence, who I didn't like, and he didn't like me, but we became brothers. So crazy that in 2017, so 16, 17, we actually had signed the Articles of Incorporation. And what many don't
Mm,
know, uh, Terrence was in the hospital, and Terrence
mm,
was going down. He was having some health complications. I'll say that. He
mhm,
signed the paperwork while in the hospital, and prior to us becoming a nonprofit in 2018, January 20th, my brother died, and so I wanted
mm,
to quit. I wanted to quit so bad. But just like how I said about always ready starting to be in my mind all the time, I started hearing him say, "You got to keep going. You can't quit. You got to keep going." And then others would
mhm,
ask me, I think you asked me about how's always ready doing? Like, how does he know? So I just believe that God situated me to be around those who would keep that flame going. So
mhm,
that said, in 2019, we got the okay that always ready was July 3rd, actually, day before Independence Day. We became a
nice.
fortified nonprofit organization. The only uh, unsettling thing about that, although we honor his memory, is he wasn't here with us to see it, and that's what crushed my heart. But
Mm,
I am more motivated than ever to see this into full fruition before handing the torch off to
man,
other folks. And so
man, I'm sure he's
it is a supreme blessing to represent Always Ready and things that we do.
yeah, thanks for sharing that story, and I'm sure he's looking down right now, smiling with like a smile from head to head, like a big Kool-Aid smile, like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
we did
yeah,
it."
we did it. Very much so.
Now, we know Always Ready is a nonprofit. Give me a little bit more info behind the nonprofit Always Ready.
Okay,
What does it encompass? What do you guys do? What are your
okay,
services? What are your mission, your vision, your values, all that good stuff, you know?
okay. So, in a nutshell, Always Ready uh, seeks to serve underserved men who are
Mhm,
unemployed or underemployed
mhm,
from various communities. Our three that we concentrate on are the basis of our mission statement are veterans, justice impacted or justice involved individuals, and the homeless.
mm,
Personally, I was all three at one time in my life. So,
mhm,
one person, for instance, I myself, I'm a father, I'm also a grandfather, I'm a brother, I'm a son. Anybody could
mhm,
be those things. We also, just to put it out there, we also work with women on case by case basis. The only thing that we don't provide, which we provide to the men, are gently used clothing or brand new clothing.
mm,
However, we perform the same services. And what regards to services is workforce development.
mhm,
Uh, it depends based on a needs assessment how we can assist the person. And so,
mhm,
say for instance, it was someone who already has their resume together. They already have their connections on where they could go for a job interview or a confirmed job interview. That's how we provide the gently used clothing or branded clothing to them,
mhm,
or should I just say supportive services. But
mhm,
they may not need everything under the rainbow with regards to assistance, but they may need an introduction to an employer. And so, what we'll do is, using my old business services acumen, is we'll act as a broker between the job seeker and the employer, and we play matchmaker.
mm,
And we will on behalf of that employer vet the potential employee. And with regards to the different entities that we work with or that we're partnered with that provide either if it's wage reimbursement, if the person is justice impacted, if there's a wage reimbursement tag on there, as well as the fidelity bonding, and or if there's some things through Department of Rehab where we can help them out, either like a Schedule A letter. A Schedule A
mhm,
is basically a person who has a disability who can possibly get a job working for the government. That's how I got my job with the government. I was qualified. They have to
mm,
be qualified to do the job, but what it does is it elevates you to the front of the line. That basis of like that. So the another things that we do, so we do several services, is peer to peer support, personal development. Now we've added internships. We don't pay for the internships, but what we do again is we vet for that organization that has the internships, monies, and things like that. So we do a
mhm,
lot of, if you want to say we do placement, or we'll do the purpose for placements to it just resolves about excuse me, it just revolves about what the need is from A, the client, to B, the employer, and the in between. That's where we're at. Our web is the
yeah.
in between. I should say that.
Okay, I like that,
Yeah,
I like that,
yeah.
and you know, me and you were talking about this earlier, so I'm gonna bring the conversation here too as well because a lot of people don't understand. It's like, well, okay, I get the justice involved piece, I get the homeless piece, but like, why does he need the I mean, because I know it's because it's personal to you
Right.
because, the military, but there's a deeper understanding to that I think a lot of people don't understand. They're like, "Well, man, these military dudes get all the benefits. They get all the good jobs when they get out. Like, why you need to help them for?" And I think there's a conversation to be had that it's not always like that. Um, for the people who are not as knowledgeable, t walk us through that. What's the experience usually like for, a a young man or young woman getting out of the military and let's say if they was a bomb specialist their whole time there, right?
Hmm.
You know, what is that experience like? Do you often see and run up against when, supporting individuals like that?
Well, one of the things that we run into, and I'm gonna say about my experience, is I retired almost 10 years ago, and we're still having this conversation. Say
Mm,
to you before, and no slaps or nothing like that, but it's the same conversation that's being had, and it's not being uh, fixed. Being that we've been out the military for 10 years, this conversation is still the same with regards to when a person gets out. Although they'll have the TAPS class or transition assistance program, and this is a program that gives uh, a separating service member, should they not be retiring or retiring, which is RETAP, the opportunity to find out about different resources that's out there. However,
mm,
in that scope of assistance, it's minimized. It's very selective with regards to who they have out there. So it's no, I believe it's no community advocacy, if you will. It's
mm,
very minimal. For instance, when I was retiring, I had to come all the way from Washington State.
mm,
So I was in Washington State, not Washington, D.C., Washington State, while I was still on board the Reagan. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't bring my medical record and I didn't bring some other stuff. And come to find out, the folks that were hosting it in Point Loma, they had VA representation there to go over or to skim your medical record, your medical and dental record, excuse me, in order to see where you may fall in the spectrum of percentage. So
mm,
it is very difficult, right? Besides the bookwares, as I was stating before, and this, well, you should do this. What That's pretty much what it is. It's
mhm,
not something where it's so informative, or as we would say when recording anything, either it's taped or it's real time. It's no real time
mm,
information that's put up there. And
mm,
so what ends up happening is a majority of the service members don't really land on their feet. I use the advent of a
mm.
cat. A cat who has 9 lives, you can throw them from
Yeah.
anywhere, they're going to land on their feet. Oftentimes, we
Mhm,
will have service members who have served their country honorably, right? Weren't in trouble, and even if you got in trouble, it's okay. I got in trouble,
yeah.
but they got out honorably from serving their country. They may do their post 9/11, but they don't have no type of direction. What
Mm,
used to be is it was led by somebody who's been there, done that. Either a retired master chief, chief, first class, even a second class, who has established his or herself. It's not so much
mhm,
saying, hey, you're only successful if you have a degree. We know that we live in a ever evolving world now where in some instances degrees aren't required, but
mhm.
not everyone is going to be a TikTok this, an Instagram that, or a Facebook whoever, right?
Yeah,
So
that's true.
it's the even in those small skill sets, because as we were having the conversation previous, and you and I always vibe on the conversation, is a lot of times employers will say, "Oh, we love our vets," and so that's who we would gravitate to, right? You
Yeah.
do the interview, but you know as well as I do, with your fluid background, oftentimes, not you, but other employers would say, "Oh, thank you for your service, but I'm sorry, you don't fit the thing because we don't understand this language that you're talking." I
Yeah.
really think
And
that. Go ahead.
no, no, no. You really think what? Get that
I
thought
really
out.
think that people uh, who aren't military, and it's okay, that they go to, maybe this is an idea, but that they would go to a training where they can learn some of that
Mm,
language because you've been saying this language for so many years. It's like being bilingual.
mhm,
You can speak this when this situation arises, and you speak this with this one. I don't believe that because they just speak this one that they're not willing to learn that one. Do you get what I'm
mhm,
saying? So if I said I
mhm,
was an AO, it means aviation ordnance. But even in that, and I was a bomb maker, that doesn't mean that I can't maintain confidentiality. It doesn't mean that
mm,
I'm not a good steward of said
mm.
materials. It doesn't mean that I couldn't safeguard information and things like that. But what are you going to say?
Now I was gonna say that you got it spot on. Like, I mean, I've been working in government entities for some time, and a lot of the same structures are the same structures that you see in the military. And
Hmm.
I remember when I came over to the county, having to learn the county lingo, and then they like to abbreviate everything. And I was like, it's like alphabet soup in here. One department it is these acronyms, and another department is these acronyms, and then
Right.
they could be two departments. They have the same acronyms, but they be something totally different depending on which ship you on.
That that one, right? Exactly. It's the same thing. It is the same thing. And oftentimes that is used, I believe, used not to hire somebody. Because what I didn't say to you was there was a job that was out here. It was an IT related job. The only IT related job I went for since I had retired because
Mhm,
my whole thing just changed from being
mhm,
out in Haiti and things like that. But it was for an IT job. I was the number two person that was, possibility out of 60 folks. This is my, mind you, before I got my bachelor's degree. And, based on my background, that's why I was brought in to be a candidate and went to several
mhm,
places with regards to the interview thing. But in that, a couple things were left out that I didn't learn from the retail. One, just because I was a chief petty officer retired, I may not make the same amount of money starting out with these people. Because I said,
mhm,
oh, well, I supervised 26 people. It's nothing to me. Yeah, I got this. So then they're concerned about not just, oh, can we work with you? Oh, it's going to be a hostile takeover because this
mhm,
person is coming from this level of leadership.
mhm,
Is it a possibility that he or she could take my job? That's
mhm,
oftentimes why they don't hire military people.
mhm,
It's nothing about being consistent because, when you're early, you're on time. Excuse me, when you're early, you're on time, and when you're on time, you're late. My kids,
mhm,
I have a 20. My youngest daughter is 20 years old. She says that because it's been ingrained in us. But
mhm,
for some odd reason, I believe it's just me. I believe that there is a vast discrepancy when it has to do with the veteran piece, and that is why that we include veterans and that veteran language in our our quest to help out those who are seeking employment. Because
mhm,
again, any one person could be all three. Just like today, I was sharing with you when I was speaking with an employer about strengthening our relationship and things like that, they have a need for 10 employees, and all
mhm,
10 is their priority is that they want veterans. It's a veteran owned
mhm.
business, a veteran owned, not veteran owned, a veteran owned secretary, a veteran secretary, but they want who they want. And I understand because guess what?
Mhm.
Once just like yourself, being in the different department with the city, you know that language.
Yeah.
Once you learn it, you know it. And I just
Mhm,
think that There are some out there who are stuck in their ways,
Mhm.
who don't give folks an opportunity. And I could be wrong. It could change. It's great. But
No, I
how many? What is the real return on investment with regards to hiring veterans? I would love to see a study on that one, and not
mm,
just the monetary return on investment, and not just, like I said, the monetary is, oh, there's so much disabled. I could get this because that's one thing that we bring to the table. There's monies that is for those who are veterans and for those who are have such a percentage in their disabilities and things of that
mm,
nature. This is why when you go through voc rehab, they ask you, "What's your percentage?"
mm,
Because if you say zero, they're going to tell you, "Oh, I can't work with you." What kind of mess is that?
mm. Wow.
Hmm.
You know, I think there's so much to unpack there because, like, I mean, uh, there's I've heard of age discrimination. I've heard of race discrimination when it comes to job, but never thought in my wildest dreams, until you share some good knowledge that that there's discrimination against veterans as well,
Yeah.
and due to this stigma, right?
Hmm.
Oh, they're gonna come for my position, or they're gonna
Yeah.
out excel me. And even if that is true, if they out excel you, is that such a bad thing? Like that allows you to, I mean, to me, competition is good because it helps me step
That,
my game up, right?
that's it.
so so
That's man. Look, look.
but I guess everybody don't see it that way. If somebody's stagnant or underachieving, they don't want to be in competition with anybody because that doesn't do anything for them. But I digress. I'll leave that there. I want to see if anybody has data on this, send us the data. We want to see the data. Send it to
Mhm.
myself, Maurice, always ready, so we can see the data on the utilization. That sound like an NBA game, and efficiency of
Right,
veterans
right.
in the workforce, right?
Shot scored.
Yeah, shots scored because
Buckets.
because
We want-
I'm pretty sure if we saw data on this, it would be up there. I
yeah,
can't imagine it's not up there.
yeah. But
Um.
I will say this though. So in the southern states, or I'm going to say Texas in particular, it is
Mhm,
a known that they love their veterans and folks flock down there. So it's a big reason, not just because everything's bigger in Texas and you get more bang for your buck. That's another thing. That's all financial. But
mhm,
it is known because when I retired, I told my wife I wanted to move to Texas.
nah,
If she wasn't a school teacher, we would be in Texas. And
mm,
but thank God that it's not the case because I don't think Always Ready would have ever been started.
mhm,
But there are certain there are certain places that's known to veterans that, oh yeah, they'll take care of me
mhm,
instantly. Wherein we're here where we're at, it's more difficult, and we live in a military town.
nah.
Mm,
So to that I say, I challenge San Diego, since we're a military town, let's be a veteran friendly town as well. On top of that,
yeah,
let's take it to the next level.
yeah.
Now, the other part of this conversation I want to have with you, before we learn about your career journey, is I feel as the hard time about that individuals have a transition, the conversations that I've had in my workforce development career, as I'm sure you had too,
Hmm.
when we were helping the veteran population, is that they don't know how to um, do the career navigation. How do I equate my career on paper to translate to the civilian world? And what in the civilian world is comparable to what I did? What are the transferable skills? How do I start to compete when I get into the civilian world based on my military background and experience? Is that is that something that you see too? That's a challenge, and if it is a challenge, what's some thoughts that you have around putting things into play? I mean, of course, always ready, but
Mm.
to what do workforces need to do to help out with that, or maybe more nonprofits like yourself? So, give me your thoughts around that.
So yes, it is difficult. So what one of the things that I would do, since figuring, through a lot of trial and error, and we want to make it more palatable for all concerned, male, female, whatnot. And that is for a person to print out their, now it was before, again, I retired in 2013, but their electronic training jacket, all their certifications, everything, just bring everything you got. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's almost like a treasure hunt because every skill that you learned is transferable
Yeah.
because you know how to be on time. You know how to clean. You know how to there it just all depends on what in your pathway that you're attempting to do. That's one thing that needs to get figured out. Another thing
Mm-hmm.
is visiting the career centers. I knew nothing about the career centers. I went to a place, with regards back when Always Ready was becoming what it was becoming way before I even knew, and went to a place that uh, verifiably worked with other folks. I'm saying just females succinctly, and I said, okay, no problem. Do you have resources? No, we don't have resources for men. This is why, on case by case basis, Always Ready works with young ladies and things of that nature. But as it goes for the veterans, learning from the career centers, the ONET online, that stuff, uh, Googling, because now they have like a military translators that's on Google. There's a military translator. You could go just type it in military translator and it will translate what your job is. And isn't it something? It is in
Mm-hmm.
English. And why I say translator, because some people just don't, we were talking about speaking two different languages. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
say uh, APL to my wife or say APL to you. That would mean two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Allowed parts list. That's what it means. Or 3M. Oh, where's my 3M manual or OPI and things of that nature. So it will translate what you did in your military job. And there are some that are out there that will help you. A lot of times, if you even go to the VSOs or the veteran service organizations that are with the county or those like Wounded Warrior and so on, they can help break that thing down bit by bit. But there's another thing that's out there that is 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 uh is amazing. It's almost like an internship for 6 or 7 months. The issue with that is, say you're a star performer. Say it's yourself there, Mr. Terrell. You're a
Mm-hmm.
star sailor. And I don't say sailor because I'm biased because I was Navy. And you didn't retire. You're not retiring, but you did 6 years. And all
Mm-hmm.
this time, you have folks like myself who are chiefs, master chief. Hey man, stay in. You're a road runner, but you already have your bachelor's degree. You're about to get your master's and open up your own consulting firm or whatnot. You know the road ahead in which you want to go. But in this program, you need to be off the ship for about 7 months, and
Mm-hmm.
they're still going to pay you. The Navy's still going to pay you, but you're going to be over here. It's almost like being temporary assigned duty or TAD. Oftentimes, people are shortcutted now because they're not able to leave. It's almost like being a pay. You've heard of the term before. It's almost like being punished for being too good.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of those skill sets and things that people can evolve and glean from, they're not able to do that. So with regards to transitioning out to these internships that they can do, there's a large chop chain that's part of that. The chop chain is for, I'm saying, coming from it could be your first class, your chief, your department head. It could be even, your XO, your captain. Oh, also your command master chief. In order to let this person off, the
Mm-hmm.
chit is basically a permission slip to come off the ship in order to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Notwithstanding everything else I just said about decrypting what you've done in the military. So it's become better with putting that stuff
Mm-hmm.
out there. But this is what I didn't say. After doing those 20 years, guess how many pages my resume was, my friend. Now I'm talking about
Right,
from
like
E1 to E7. How many pages it was? I
uh
just whatever you guess is
four,
cool, man.
4 or 5.
I wish it was 13 pages.
Are you serious?
13
Jeez.
pages because he didn't know where to put what, and those key words, that API, that keyword finder, because not everyone, and this wasn't, I don't believe this was reiterated to us. I don't remember, but not everyone is going to sit down and read your resume.
Mhm.
They're going to have some artificial
Especially
intelligence
not
thing.
no 13 pages.
Exactly. So guess how many interviews I got? And I
Uh,
led, right? I led and didn't get no interviews. And I was like, what is this? I said, I wanted to be HR. I wanted to do this thing. They're like, oh, well, how much experience you got? And that was another one. They try to use
mhm,
that saying, oh, no, you're not HR. But say, for instance, a person is a personnelman, a PM, or a
mhm,
yeoman or YN. Well, you don't have this, what do you want to call it? You're not part of SHRM. But, but, but you were on a seagoing combatant. So any ship, USS is a seagoing combatant, right? Say it was an aircraft carrier. Say it's USS Ronald Reagan. Let's just go right there. CVN 76.
mhm,
And you were responsible for the records, the physical. Now they went electronic, so they even stepped it up. Electronic records or electronic training jackets for 2,300 sailors.
mhm,
Plus, so you not just did your job, you did other jobs because you have to, in order to be competitive, you have to have collateral duties. And so my whole
mhm,
stint on this, and why I'm on my soapbox with this, you have to do everything besides not just your job, but other duties and responsibilities. This is why I say that a military members or veterans uh, skills, knowledge, skills, and abilities are transferable across the board.
mhm.
Now, I'm not a mathematician. I'm not going to go and try to be and attempt to be somebody's CPA because I could really care less. That's not
Yeah,
that's not in my, that's not in my wheelhouse at all. I'm okay.
right.
But if a person could do this, why is it they're getting knocked or dinged because they don't have a SHRM certificate or SHRM certificate? You see what I'm saying? So it's the
I see
little
what you're saying.
things, but they have, if you look at it in the big picture of things, they have exceeded what is that piece of paper in the jobs and the responsibilities that they had even as a junior person.
Mhm.
So it's that Wizard of Oz moment, if you will.
Yeah. I think there's when I'm hearing this, needs to be a retoolization, education, and
Hmm.
re-synchronization of some sort with how this whole process works because I see that you know although you're filling the gaps with always ready, there's not a always ready over in New York, over in
Ooh,
North Carolina. Oh, like there's not a worldwide always ready. At least not
ooh,
yet. We might put
not yet,
that in existence. Not
not
yet.
yet. Hey, it's working out for my good. It's gonna happen.
But
Yeah.
at least not yet. So I mean, I hope we get I hope this conversation starts to take place on a national level, not just the local level as well, because I see a lot of opportunities to really have a deeper discussion about this and filling in those gaps, especially for the people who have served their lives to ensure that we get the freedoms and the privileges that we do today. So I thank you for filling that void for us, and taking on that responsibility. And I hope there's more people who get more out of it. This episode, I want to pivot for the second half into your journey because I think your journey is remarkable, coming from all three of those things, and then getting on this career path to building such a well-established nonprofit. And I'm gonna take you back to my correct connected career days just a little bit because
The blue
I'm
shirts, huh?
gonna, yeah, to the blue shirts. And when I used to do the panels and we used to do like the hashtag my first job campaign, and I
Mhm,
want to know what was your first job? Because a lot of people they'll see you and they'll get inspired by your story now and they think, oh boom, soon as I get out the military, I'm gonna start being nonprofit like my man Mr. W. But that it
mhm,
don't happen that way. So
mhm.
tell the people please what your first job was.
But my first job when I got out the Navy,
No, give me your let's go
or my
back into
first
time.
job.
Your first job, and then you can give
Oh
me your first
gosh,
job out of the
man.
military. I'm assuming it was workforce development, but I might not even know that. But so give me your first job, first jobby job, and then give me your first job out the military.
Okay. Because I was like, dude, you. Well, in that, and like I was saying before, how we serve the three-headed. I want to say the three-headed monster, but the triad, and that being veterans, justice impacted, and homeless. So my first job, I was homeless, and I was 17, and I
Mm,
was about to. I was 11th grade. Yeah, like yeah. So I was homeless, and I was pushing uh, grocery carts. I had to remember what the
wow.
word was. I was gonna say
Yeah.
buggies, but I was pushing
Uh-huh.
grocery carts, and I worked for 5 hours. And so for 5 hours, you would think, quick math and whatnot, how much that would be. And this is back in 90 something. So the long story short, I only want to ask you, like, hey, how much do you think it was? I got paid $3 for five
Wow.
hours for pushing carts. Now, mind you, I said I was homeless. I was sleeping under a roof. It wasn't the roof that I was assigned to, if you will. So I was couch
Mm,
surfing. So that was my first job. And then
mm,
I was still in college. No, I was still in high school, excuse me. About to graduate, and then I was playing football. But my first job was pushing a cart for 5 hours, and the dude looked me in my eye and gave me $3. And I gave it back to him.
mm.
And then my real first, then after that, I had a job stocking shelves and stuff like that at Nordstrom's as a contractor, but it still didn't pay much.
Dang.
$7.50, if
Was
you will.
that like after the military or that was after
No,
the
no,
the
no, no, no. I'm sorry. That was like the follow on because I wouldn't been able to
nice.
exist.
Yeah,
So I had a
yeah, yeah. I
job
was
in the
like,
job, so it was stocking. But my first job was pushing carts, and I got paid
nah.
$3 for 5 hours. I've never,
Wow,
oh
that's
my god,
crazy.
I've never looked at a shopping cart to this day the same.
Nah. That
So
and don't mind the buggy because buggy that we say buggy in East Coast, so like
okay, good, good,
depends on
because
where
I
you
was
at.
stationed in the East Coast, so Norfolk and all this other stuff, right? Not Norfolk. So
Uh,
out of the military, my first job, if you guys don't know, I was an IT chief. I was a business manager. So
mm,
I was a business manager for VOA at a treatment center,
mm,
and that was cool. And then I
nah,
started, and so that was working with those who had drug problems and things of that nature. It was a treatment center. But I started
mhm,
seeing veterans coming there, I started seeing the homeless, justice impacted, and
mhm,
my heart was going out to these folks, and all that stuff was happening. And then
nah.
from there, uh, I actually quit that job Mother's Day weekend.
Wow.
I
Why
worked
Mother's Day weekend? Was there some any significance to
it
that?
was just, I was feeling bad because I was making more money than the counselors were making, to be honest with you.
Uh,
I didn't feel good about that. The counselors were making at that time $6.50 and working 100 hours, just let you know.
nah,
And I was
nah,
making more than that, just
nah,
welcoming people. So I was a business manager, but I was also the secretary when you came in there. So I did
nah,
a lot of stuff, payroll and everything. After that, I was looking for employment, and I actually became a ECM, or employment case manager, for ResCare. But
mm,
what also was kind of a de facto with me is I went through a program that's supposed to help you, uncover the words that you're saying in there, and your resume, and it was all for show. The company, I'm not going to mention her name, got a
Mhm.
substantial grant from one of the banks out here, and they were supposed to
Mm,
help veterans, but it was just running you in circles for 2 weeks. But I was able to get
man.
a temp job with ResCare as a employment case manager. So I was working with those who from all walks of life. So I work with uh, the refugee community, which was a blessing. I work with single parents or families who were receiving cash aid. And they were receiving financial assistance because they were living at such a level monetarily or less than
Mhm,
monetarily, either being here or things out of that nature. And
mhm.
through this welfare to work program, although welfare gets a bad connotation to it, there were some people out there really busting their hind parts to make it happen. So they were
Yeah.
working very hard. Sorry, I'm using my military acumen. You start talking about military, I start talking it.
Yeah.
So
Nah, nah, I appreciate it.
so in that, I got to see a lot of differences that were going on with that. So we worked in that community for about 6 months. But wherein here comes the light on the dark uh, tunnel, if you will, because it's hard working with people who they're just trying their best. And so my heart would go out, and we would work the program as we're supposed to work it. But then I met Miss Deanna that I speak so eloquently of, um, who came and did a presentation for us. So as employment
Mhm,
case managers, our jobs were to monitor what supportive services that these families or single parent homes were receiving, to also make sure that they had other supportive services for us, if
mhm,
it's childcare, if it's books for school, uh, money for gas, or a
mhm.
bus pass, those types of things, and to make sure that
Nice.
and to encourage them that they didn't get put in bad standing. So we did
Yeah.
a lot of follow ups and things of that nature. But moving over
Yeah.
to KRA, where I met Miss Deanna, and it just blew my mind, her energy, and about we got jobs, we got jobs. I was like, oh, because we would send job leads to people, and I was like, oh my god, just talking about her, it gets me moving, and I was
Yeah.
like, I need to know her. And this was really, I believe, when I heard the first word being relationship, because for us, when being Navy, our
Uh-huh.
relationship word was shipmate, but
Yeah.
that didn't have nothing to do with the other. And I was like, I need
Yeah.
to know her. I need to get to know this lady, who
Yeah.
by chance is also the vice president of Always Ready. So
Yeah.
it is how it works, right? And
This how
so
it works. The divine
uh,
intervention, like
it, it,
you
I,
ask, you shall
I,
receive.
that 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 one right there. So I figured out a way to establish a relationship. I started going over there every day. Hey, Miss D, how you do? Like I would take her coffee, whatever. I needed to bud this relationship because I wanted what she had. And then she had shared with me about an opportunity. I interviewed or was hired. I left
Mhm,
Res Care, but I still work with the same demographic because in
yeah.
this I was uh, what they call a career agent. So I'm still doing
Mhm,
the same thing as an ECM or employment case manager, but just different. So I was
yeah.
doing for more mainstream folks, but I still wanted to work with the people I was working with. So fast forward, I went. I was recruited because my numbers were so high. I was blessed to
Mhm,
be able to place people in jobs so
yes.
quickly and training that the business services manager at the time, Mr. Hamed, had convinced me to go for the job. So I went in there, and when I was being interviewed by Miss Maxine, she asked me, and this is something I said I would never do. Never say never.
Mhm.
She said, "What's your sales approach?" Sales? I don't sell nothing. I was mad. I was sweating. I was upset. I don't think I ever told you. Oh, dude, I was mad. I was like, I don't need this. It was after a long day. It was 5:30 and they're interviewing me.
Oh man.
I just did an orientation when I was still a career agent for 20 people. And the
Yeah.
other career agent didn't come. And just letting you guys know, the orientation, you let them know about services, and then whomever wants to stay afterwards, you have to talk to that person and do an
Yeah.
on-site assessment to see if you
Uh,
guys can work together or if you just do a warm handoff to someone else.
oh.
Everybody wanted to work with me. So all
Right.
16 stayed behind. So now it's later. So I'm
Right.
tired, I'm hungry. And then they would interview me. So I
Right.
was asked about my sales approach, and I said, I'm not a salesman. Well, why are you here in the interview? And so Mr. Hamed is sitting right there laughing. And
Uh-huh.
I said, you didn't tell me that. Like, all professionalism was gone. I said, you didn't tell me that. I'm cool with staying a career agent. She said, well, the job pays it. And I went, what? Well, and it was only like a $2 bump,
Uh-huh.
but it was more than what I was making. You get what I'm saying? And I
Oh
said,
man.
okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we do, all of us,
Uh-huh.
yourself included, Mr. Terrell, I said, okay. So what do I need to do? She said, well, look, if you accept this job, because I want to offer it to you, you have 30 days to place one person because we're going to advertise your job as soon as you walk out of here. And so therefore you can't default back to the job. So if you can't get one person hired, you're not going to have a job. I said, bet. And I got up and walked out of there.
Uh,
I went back to Miss Diana though, and I was
uh.
upset. I was mad. I was like, they said I'm a salesman to this. She was like, you are. And I was like, no, I'm not. She said, you are. So what came of that? Not only did I get one person placed, I got 4 people placed just to show them who
Nice.
I was.
Uh,
Uh, it was a
He's like,
blessing. It
allow
was
me to reintroduce myself.
that
My name is
that one. That one. I said, "How dare you?" And that's when I was just working with mainstream clients. No one was from the refugee community or whatnot. Then I was blessed in that I just say it was a promotion within a promotion because then I got to work with the expanded subsidized employment program where you work with those who are welfare to work or cash aid recipients. Let's say cash
yeah.
aid, and so that was with the reimbursement piece. And then to work with the OJT, they pulled me over that one to help with those numbers because out of a month, like say they'll get 2 and the requirement was 4. So I would get
Yeah.
6. And it wasn't you trying to outdo some people. You would go based on one, the energy that they're putting out while looking for employment and based on their situation. Because
Mhm.
everyone's flavor and everyone's situation is different. And if there's an
Yeah.
opportunity there, and these people are ready to go, like ready, set, go, or mantra for always ready.
No,
I'm going
no
to do
pun
my
intended.
no pun intended. Just put it out there. And so that's how we would play so quickly. And
Right.
then with that little carrot being on top, the incentives for the employer, and you would educate,
Yeah.
said employer about the different things that he or she can be provided. I would say a try before you buy, but the greatness in it is there are a lot of people still working to this day because of the programs that were provided through the ESC and OJT
Mhm.
program. I'm also an
Yeah.
OJT
Yeah.
recipient. So went
Yeah.
from that to and I went to work I'm not going to say an epiphany. I'm just going to say for what it is. The Lord told me to
Right.
go and start working with justice
Well,
involved people.
let me pause you there because that was some of that everything you just laid out may have went over some people's head. Let me tell you, this man. Um, when I at first let me shout out Miss D. Let me shout out. I heard some names, some blasts from the past. Maxine Suka.
Yep.
Uh, who else? Who else did you
I said Mr. Hamed.
Mr. Man, I like
Yeah.
I haven't seen these folks
Yeah.
in a while, but those my peoples too.
Yeah.
Shout out to them for putting you on and allowing you to excel. But I agree with you because me and you cut from the same cloth. I don't sell,
Mhm.
I tell. And in that tell, I do some great listening, which helps me to understand what your needs are and present you with an opportunity. And it's up to
Right.
you whether or not you want to take it or not, right?
Exactly.
And, and I think you do such a great job at really listening and providing opportunities, or at least presenting the opportunity, or getting people to the opportunity. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right?
Nope.
And so that's what we do so well. So I know they say telling isn't selling, but I don't need to sell because I'm you going the opportunity is going to sell itself if it's for you,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
uh,
And that's the whole thing. Once I got that and that pruning from Miss Deanna and believing in myself, it was easy. But I will tell you the first job event. So aside placing people in jobs, my also part of my responsibility was hosting job events or employment events, right? So there's a job fair, and here's an employer, and say when this happens that Always Ready is hiring, and the career center that whatnot they're hosting us. When we were
mhm.
doing one at the library, the downtown library, guess what? The employer didn't
What?
show up. The employer
Oh.
didn't show up. I was hot. Oh, it was my first one. And so
Mhm,
learning from, and we've been throwing her name out there, Miss Deanna, she said, well, okay, well, we're going to represent the employer. What? And I sat through 24 people and learned how to do it that day on the spot. There's nothing better
mm,
than pressure because pressure will
mhm,
bring out that diamond. I'm not saying I always want pressure, but
mhm,
pressure is good because it will, it's not, it reveals who you are, you know?
mm,
So went from that, was doing really good. And then, like I said, I was just blessed. Initially, I was like, why do I keep feeling like this? But my heart started tearing at me to go work with justice impacted individuals.
mhm,
And I was offered all types of stuff to stay. I will
mhm,
put it out there like that, from pay to position. And I was like, yo, I can't say I'm a man of faith and not follow where my heart is leading me, where God is leading me at. So
mhm,
I had left KRA, tear jerking, oh my God. After almost 3 years being there, and I went
mhm,
to Second Chance, and it was primarily justice impacted everybody. I mean, people
mhm,
who I think my first client had did, and I'm not saying this out of non wisdom, over 30 years for murder, and he was a Navy
wow,
veteran. My first client.
wow,
He was
wow, that
part of
talk
the
about
job resource training. Yeah, right out the gate.
look,
Right out the gate. And what I
wow.
also didn't mention was that first day we're testing people's urine.
Ah!
I was like, did I go from sugar to, I said, what the heck happened? But that wasn't, again, what I say about military, it's never that your skills aren't transferable, because I was the DAPA, or drug alcohol program advisor, when I was in the Navy, because you have to do your job, but you also have to do some other jobs. So I know
Yeah,
all about that. The urinalysis program coordinator, I was that as a first class petty officer. So,
look,
you know, I was like,
look,
my job is jobs. I'm the business services manager,
look.
but I'm taking people's urine. Like, what? Okay. And then I was in the closet for the first day. And I say the closet, their whole closet with regards to the gently used or brand new clothing. I was in the
Look,
closet all day getting people fitted out for clothes. The first day.
look, wow. Man, I think this is all divine, into divine, whatever you want to call it. Believe in the universe, the Holy
Yeah.
Spirit, like
Yes.
God's word. It was all like I can see the full story now,
Yeah.
as it unveils. Here's one of the thing, and I know we're getting close to our time here. Got a couple questions,
Mhm.
hopefully we can get some good answers for the people before we sign off. One, when you look back at your career and your journey through your career and the process that it took to get to where you're at today with um having such a great military career to workforce development career to now, this nonprofit that's really amplifying three sides of who you are as a person and the communities that you really care about most. What would you say were the important steps that help you get to where you're at right now today? What were the most important steps?
Uh, that's a good question. I would say is that you surround yourself, and it don't sound cliche, but it's the truth. You surround yourself with people who encourage you to do
Mm,
something that hasn't been done. That's number one. Number two is you have to, I don't want to say eliminate, but limit your naysayers. Because if you don't, my old commanding officer, Commander Brown, used to tell us, if you don't have some haters, you're doing something wrong. So
mm,
you got to have some naysayers. Or how are you going to get this done? Because it needs to be a challenge in there. If you're not being challenged, what are you doing it for?
mhm,
And uh, another portion is whatever you do. If you're selling snacks, you cutting hair, have integrity.
mhm,
Do it for the right reasons. Always Ready is all voluntary, even myself. And so, and my plans is to hire a contracted grant writer and an admin when that time comes, because I don't need the stuff to come to me. If you're going to give something to me, give it to the program, because that's who is there to benefit. Just like when you spoke at the our gala when we launched the scholarship in Terrence's name that will be
mhm,
given out, next year, February 10th. Is I believe those three,
mhm,
and again, you got to believe what you're doing, surrounding
mhm,
yourself with the, not so much like-minded people, but people who will push you. And three,
mhm.
you it's okay to have some naysayers to know what you're doing to an extent,
Yeah,
but not everything. But use
yeah,
wisdom, be integral.
yeah,
If you have integrity, that will take you far. And don't do stuff just because it's a dollar attached to it. That's not, if you're in the, for instance, in this entity, and you're in here for money, you're in it for the wrong reason.
mm,
You're in it for the wrong reason. You should do a for profit and then, take off, do whatever you want to do. I'm not doing it for the monies. I'm doing it for the people.
yeah. Now, I know there's gonna be some young folks that really get inspired by your story, your journey, and so forth, and they might see an opportunity to fill the gaps as well, like especially when it comes to workforce development, because there's so many gaps that we could fill with so many different folks and individuals. What's some advice you would give somebody who wants to start a career in workforce development or start a nonprofit filling the gaps around workforce development? What's some tips you would give to somebody, a young person just starting out?
Figure, ask. Well, one, establish some relationships with those who are already doing it.
Hmm.
Uh, See for yourself about and ask about the different holes to be filled. Because again, like I said at the gala, there's more than enough room for everybody,
Hmm.
right? So we are surrounded by this big old Pacific Ocean here in California. All of
Hmm.
us could go fish. Your thing may be crab, my thing may be tilapia, but at the same time, we all can eat. So find
Mm,
out where you fit in the crux of things. I don't do, or we don't do, some traditional things, because not traditional things don't work for everybody. So everything is
mm,
based on a unique needs assessment. Hey, I like I said before, find out where the need is. They may not require all this other programming, and it could just be an introduction. There's nothing
mhm,
wrong with that. Uh, and with regards to the nonprofit piece, if you're going to do that, Go down to the local registrar's office, register your name. Whatever name it is that you're thinking about, get your name out there first. Get
Mm-hmm.
it on black and white. Research your information online. They can show you that link. Look at it. Come up with your name. At least I think it'll give you about three names. You could names and subnames. Like we're always ready of Southern California, the whole name, but we do
Mm-hmm.
business as always ready. And so register your name, and they give you a step by step. Start getting the people that you believe that are going to help you out and share just a little bit with them and start your meetings right there. You don't have to be a nonprofit to start doing nonprofit work. We started doing nonprofit work in 2016.
And it was
We were
all
just
off of love.
referring them. It's all left. And I was still working for
All
other
out of
people.
love.
So that's the best time to start.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Even if
so
it's one or
we
two
don't.
people.
We had our time, and although I love these, do the me and you probably talk forever, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you, and I know we got stories for days, but I don't do the Joe Rogan podcast that lasts like 3 hours.
Oh,
So
now that would not be one of them.
yeah, that
I
was,
would need some refreshments. We had to do a pizza break.
yeah. So let's end it off like this. What projects are you currently working on, and where can people find you?
The project I'm currently working on is putting together uh, uh, a men's conference to be determined
Hmm.
sometime between July and August, but more so, we are doing a clothing drive for gently used or brand new clothing at our business address,
Mm,
750 Ty Lakes Road, number 259, Chula Vista, California. But how they can find us is on HTTPS, semicolon, backslant, this is all one word. Always ready SD. The SD's for San Diego. .org. Or you can email us at info@alwaysreadysd.org. It comes directly to me as well as our web guy. And then we will reach out to you. You go on the Always Ready website. You can fill out a contact form as well. Or my number's up there. Send me a text and we can talk about anything you want to talk about to help you out.
and don't worry, if you missed all that, I'm gonna put it all in the show notes of this episode. I'm gonna get all this contact information, and I hope to be at this event, and I'm gonna pull up to the drive too. So San Diego, make sure y'all come out to represent for
Yes.
my brother, and really show some love for the work that he's doing. He's truly one of the best in the West, and I mean that.
Oh,
You can
thank
forget
you.
about the rest, and and we gotta keep elevating people like this in the community, and this is what it's all about at the end of the day. So, Reese, my brother, appreciate you. If I was there in person,
No worries,
I would
bro.
wrap arms around you. Thank you for coming on and blessing me with the wonderful energy, stories, and everything else that comes with it. And we send you your flowers while you're still here to receive them.
That's right. You too,
All
brother.
right, thank
And
you,
happy
brother.
Father's Day early. I'm just saying. I don't
Happy.
wait. I don't wait till the day of. I'm just saying. Hey, look, if your birthday is the next, I don't know, 90 days, happy birthday. So, I do it. Hey, that's what I do. That's what I do.
Well,
Yeah.
happy early
Yeah.
Father's Day, everybody, and
Day.
then we'll catch you
That's
all
it.
on the next time.
All right, man. Stay blessed.
Stay blessed.